Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video of Fox Flicks on How to Beat. Today we're going to see how to beat the evil Superman in Brightburn. By the way, is anyone else out there kind of waiting for him to make another movie like Brightburn? And, you know, another superhero gone villain kind of thing? Or, you know, I don't know how to describe it. How would you describe Brightburn? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm actually curious. Let's go.
If you found out your adopted child was a bloodthirsty alien with superpowers, what would you do? This little boy is about to become a gruesome killer, and he's living inside of your house. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the evil Superman in Brightburn. This family is about to find out their child is a terrifying monster. Looking around the house for her son Brandon, his mother Tori here searches every room in the house, but finds no trace of the boy. She runs outside to check their barn and still can't see where her son is hiding. That's when she walks into this enclosed room, and the kid Brandon jumps out, scaring her. Tori jokingly scolds her son, mentioning that he's too big to be pranking her. Outside, the father Kyle asks him what they were doing inside the barn, telling them that it's dangerous for Brandon to be in there alone. But they have no idea that he's going to murder 6 people before he
Is it really 6? Never mind.
terrorizes the world. In school, this teacher shows them a presentation on insects and informs them that they're from the same insect family. She questions the class on what characteristic wasps and bees don't share, asking for Brandon to give his answer. The boy answers the question correctly and is asked more, getting every single difference between the insects with perfect accuracy. This bully makes a joke towards Brandon, and the classroom laughs along with him. But this nice young girl tells him that being smart is a good thing. That night, Tori checks to see if her son is asleep and readies her painting tools, not realizing that something terrifying is about to happen. She turns off her music player to concentrate, when suddenly Brandon begins to violently shake in his bed. Tori notices it from downstairs, but continues finishing her painting. That's when she hears a loud strange noise from outside and goes to take a look. Thinking it's only the swings, the woman heads back inside, but suddenly something runs past her. Tori walks over to the stable, hoping it's just Brandon, and checks the same room where he was hiding earlier. Suddenly, she finds her son violently pulling at the floorboards, and she walks over while calling his name. He turns around with a psychotic—
You know, part of me now wonders, what would he have been like if, 1, if the ship never activated, and 2, or he didn't give in to the call that was saying, take the world.
look in his face, but snaps back to reality when he sees his mother. He doesn't remember how he got here, and Brandon explains that he heard a voice that told him to do it. She comforts her son, looking out the eerie locked door, and knowing exactly what's under there. The mother puts Brandon back into his room before the father walks upstairs to ask what happened. Tori explains that he was just sleepwalking downstairs, and pretends that everything is fine.
Can you be in
Oh,
love with someone
no. We're back.
Okay, these two adoptive parents have made a terrible mistake. While trying to conceive a child, a mysterious red glowing object crashed into their barn, and from the looks of it, they decided to keep it.
Wait, was it really in the barn? I thought it crashed in the woods and they brought it to the barn. Never mind.
Whatever the unidentified object is, it's now causing their adoptive son to go psycho in the middle of the night and sleepwalk towards it. They need to do something about it and fast if they want to right their wrongs and save their lives. If it were me, the first thing I would do is take my son to a sleep therapist. The problem here is that these parents don't have enough information to fully freak out yet and take action against the weird glowing red object in the barn. Although in reality, a glowing red object crashing into my barn from the sky would have been enough to call the authorities to begin with. However, these people have lived years without the unidentified object causing any disruption to their peaceful lives, and they don't want to upset the apple cart because of one little sleepwalking accident the son had. The only thing is that the cryptic words he's speaking while trying to open the barn door were not normal, and going to a sleep therapist would reveal that he was not sleepwalking at all. A sleep therapist can monitor brain activity during sleep by hooking up patients to EEG machines. Any kind of brain activity that the therapist then collects from this kid would reveal that he doesn't have a normal brain at all. Although these parents probably already know that, they don't know to what extent their adopted son is actually different, and by having it explained by a medical professional.
What do you mean adopted? They were there. They picked him out of the damn crashed pod. They know he's not human. Or at least not our kind of human.
They might finally wake the up. The major problem here is that these parents still might do nothing, even if they know what their adopted son is capable of. They love him and they want to see the best in him, but their love is blinding them from seeing the dangers that lie ahead. The other problem is that any doctor will be traumatized by what they've seen in this EEG scan, but can't do anything about it because of doctor-patient confidentiality, which means that the parents should also get rid of the unidentified object in the barn. It makes no sense at all if these people keep the object in the barn.
One moment, folks. Sorry. And we're back.
It's seemingly linked to their son, and despite the fact that they don't want to get him taken away from them, they could have forked over the object to the police or the government without telling them how he's attached to it. That way someone can tell them how much danger it is before anything else happens. The other thing is that the adopted son is drawn to it, which can't be a good thing. By removing it from the premises and putting it under lock and key, this could stop any kind of transformations that are about to happen when he does finally make contact with it. The next morning, Kyle teaches his son woodworking skills.
That's what I thought.
Offers him a piece of candy, and it reminds the man of when the kid was younger, where he cheered the kid up in the same way. That's when Kyle tells him to take care of the lawn, while he heads to the seed store. Brandon moves to his next job, struggling to start up the lawnmower, and suddenly throws it miles into the distance. He walks over to the lawnmower and stares at the spinning blades. Wanting to test his new superpowers, he puts his hand closer and stops the blade with his bare hands. That night, he plays arcade games with his mother and celebrates his birthday with a big dinner. His Aunt Marilee and Uncle Noah bring him a small birthday cake and ask him to make a wish. He blows out the candle while the others congratulate his amazing test results at school. That's when they take out a present from under the table and give him a real hunting rifle. Shocked, Kyle stops him from opening it and tells him that he's way too young. Brandon loudly demands that his father give it back, and the man orders him to leave the restaurant. Later that night, the parents are shocked by Brandon's reaction, but Kyle tells her that they used to be the same at his age.
I mean, I would still be upset at my brother for giving my son a gun when I said no. Like, come on. Never mind. Some people just don't care.
Kyle suggests the three of them go on a camping trip, making love on the couch while Brandon's fast asleep. The next morning, they ready their supplies for their big trip, and Tori tells her son to bring a jacket along for the cold weather, but he doesn't respond. Worried, his father walks over to the kid and finds him eating a metal fork.
Whoa.
He walks upstairs and they find a collection of magazines, along with these pictures of human insides. It's strange, and they both realize their kid needs some advice. Outside in the forest, Kyle gives his son the talk, telling him all about girls and growing up. That night, Tori wakes up to find that her son is gone and walks outside to go look for him. Meanwhile, the nice girl from school wakes up to see that her laptop is open with an old-timey song loudly playing. Suddenly, she realizes her window has been left open and calls out to her mom for help when she sees her classmate Brandon hiding behind the curtain. It's terrifying and her mother comes rushing in. She checks behind the curtain to find no one there, but the girl is certain he was watching her. At the campsite, Tori leaves the tent to go look for her son, pacing through the forest and turning around to be startled by Brandon. She asks him where he was and the kid lies, insisting he just went out to pee. The next morning, Tori talks with her son's teacher to discuss his changing behavior. She's told that it's because of puberty, and with her worries relieved, the woman goes to pick up Brandon. He's drawing strange symbols in his notebook, and as soon as he realizes she's looking, the kid hides them. That night, Kyle here puts his son's rifle away in his gun cabinet, but then hears his chickens panicking and thinks a wolf has snuck into his barn. He readies his weapon and carefully walks over, finding his son staring at the chickens. Kyle tells him that it's too late for him to be out, but the kid has no reaction. It's like he's in a trance, and the boy snaps out of it before heading back to bed. Early the next morning, he wakes up to hear his chickens making loud noises and takes a look to see something terrifying. He quickly brings his wife over, and Tori
a few of them have literally been ripped in half.
thinks that the wolf was responsible for killing their chickens, but her husband believes that Brandon somehow ripped the door off its hinges and did this himself. The next day, the boys' class plays a game of trust, with Brandon here being chosen as the next to play. He's pushed around by the other classmates, when suddenly Kayla moves away and lets the boy fall. Their teacher tells her to pick him up, but she refuses, remembering how he was in her room last night, and accuses him of being a pervert. The teacher demands that she pick him up or fail this class.
Now, here's something that Brandon probably could have done. He could have literally just said, and how could I have been in your room watching you when I was out with my parents in the forest? Literally, I was miles away. I was literally out of town. So how could I have gone from there to your house? He could have tried to defend himself, but instead he just goes, crack.
But when Kaylin puts her hand out, the boy grabs it and brutally breaks her fingers.
Oh, no. And we're back.
This kid is eating metal forks like they're Cheerios and is throwing lawnmowers across fields like he's an Olympic shot putter. Even if Brandon was able to get the lawnmower to work again, there's no way he could conceal the damage and hide it from his parents, which would be a major red flag that something is off. Human teeth are strong, but not strong enough to mangle metal like this, and unless he's taking illegal steroids, this kid should never come close to throwing a lawnmower that distance. That's only the beginning too. Brandon is hiding pictures of organs under his bed, killing animals, and hurting little girls at school. Even putting the whole glowing red object in the barn thing aside, Brandon's antisocial behavior is starting to border on the early signs of being a serial killer. Some of these traits include torturing small animals, intelligence, voyeurism, and weird fetishes. Puberty can be a handful, but looking at the inside of people's organs isn't usually a part of it. Nobody else like the cops or the school therapist are able to fully put the pieces of the puzzle together either, because the parents aren't revealing everything they know about their son. They should reach out to the authorities and get Brandon checked out by someone that works with extraterrestrial occurrences. But because they don't want to do that and risk losing—
imagine that. You call up the cops and like, hey, can I talk to someone that deals with aliens? And no, you're immediately gonna get shut down.
Their child, they should pursue other options instead of doing nothing at all. At this point, if the parents are going to deal with this on their own, they have to figure out what exactly they're going up against. If it were me, I would study Brandon and start researching unidentified falling objects to see if I could find any other similar instances of what happened the night that glowing red—
Hold on, folks. Be right back. And we're back. Let's continue.
Object hit the barn. By studying Brandon, I can begin to understand what exactly his abilities are and how much—
Wait, that was a scene from The Boys. That was Homelander's backstory.
Control I actually have over the situation. As far as the parents know, the boy has super strength and is often triggered by emotional outbursts. This is not a great combination for preteens who are going through a lot of emotionally triggering changes. Having super strength gives Brandon full control over his parents physically, unless they know how to calm him down. The mother and Brandon have the best relationship, so the parents should try to find ways for her to calm him when this happens. However, these people don't want to be walking in eggshells the rest of their lives, so by researching extraterrestrial life on Earth, they can see just how their situation played out in other scenarios around the world. There have been tons of UFOs spotted throughout history, but nobody has been able to confirm which ones are real and which ones are fake. But in the parents' situation, they know exactly what to look for in these stories in order to find people that have experienced real UFO sightings. I would then reach out to these people to get their story and see how they dealt with this particular type of UFO encounter. Discussing the dangers of harboring a UFO in their home will hopefully finally shake these people from their delusional denial that something bad here is happening and make them realize what is to come. In the worst case scenario, the parents could also learn ways to detain or kill Brandon from survivors that have faced this before. The boy is—
Oh, no. And we're back.
into detention while Tori tries to explain that it was an accident to Caitlin's mother. But the woman is furious. She insults Brandon and insists that he's sent to prison. The principal explains that he'll be suspended, but the mother isn't satisfied with this punishment. The officer orders her to calm down and is informed that he'll be sent to counseling with his aunt. Tori takes a good look at her son, knowing that something is seriously wrong with them. That's when Caitlin's mother insults the parents and confronts them on not being his real caretakers. They quickly leave the office to take their kid back home, but as the boy heads out, he glares at the mom, making it—
Do they even have, like, any proof to deny that Brandon is not their son? Like, I mean the people outside the parents. Like, as far as we know, they have no proof, no rights, no nothing that says Brandon isn't their child. Well, to them, Brandon is the son.
Clear he's heard everything. That night, Tori reveals what happened when she found Brandon in the barn, and that he was trying to pull the trap door open. Shocked, Kyle questions how he knows what's down there, and points out that the kid has somehow never been cut or bruised in his life. Whatever he is isn't human, and now he's beginning to harm other people. Meanwhile, Brandon here walks back to the trap door, grabbing at the chains and loudly pulling on it, managing to break the lock, just as Tori spots a red light coming from the barn. Suddenly, the kid becomes possessed, and his mother finds him levitating above the ground, chanting demonic phrases. Freaking out, she runs to her son as the red light disappears.
Well, not really demonic, just, inhuman.
And the kid falls through the trap door. Tori slowly walks towards him and checks out the wound on his hand, assuring him that he'll be alright. Brandon questions if he's really their son and asks his mother where he actually came from. Tori reveals that she and his father tried to have a child until one day, this contraption crashed into their barn where they found Brandon stuck inside this underground room. They took him in as their own, and she understands that the child must be overwhelmed hearing this news, but he can't take it anymore. Brandon freaks out and accuses her of lying to him his entire life. He runs into the house, smashing their furniture and saying that he hates them. Tori reveals to her husband that her son found what was inside the locked trap door as Brandon walks outside. He figures out the strange demonic phrase he chanted means take the world, and his eyes change into a red color before shooting out laser beams. Later, Caitlin notices that her computer is glitching out and closes to see Brandon standing in front of her. He orders her not to scream and mentions that he's brought flowers for her. She insists that the boy needs to leave, but Brandon here reveals that he's a special child and she's one of the only people who knows for now. Caitlin tears up, insisting her mom didn't want her talking to him, and looks away before realizing that the boy has disappeared. Meanwhile, Caitlin's mother starts closing up for the night and cleans the restaurant when suddenly she
god, it's this scene. I remember this.
finds these terrifying symbols drawn all across the windows. Suddenly, the lights flicker and she walks towards the roof lights before they shatter directly onto her face. A shard of glass pierces her eye, and she's forced to brutally rip it out of her face, obstructing the lady's vision. She looks around to see who's messing with her and notices this masked man watching her. The woman backs away and grabs a baseball bat from behind the counter, just as he gets ready to strike. She swings the bat and quickly runs for her life, bolting into the storage room before locking it. Terrified, she watches the sealed door be cut open with a flaming laser and get pulled off its hinges. There's nothing she can do to escape, and the masked kid flies towards her, killing the mother in a split second. That makes one victim down with 5 more to go. The next day, his parents discuss Brandon's strange activities when he walks in and greets them. Kyle tells him he'll be late for school, and the kid insists that everything is alright. Meanwhile, the police investigate what happened at the restaurant and quickly realize that this wasn't a robbery. Caitlin's mother has mysteriously disappeared, and the police question whether to call her daughter. That's when the sheriff spots something on the window and breathes on it, highlighting the BB symbol Brandon wrote the night before. Okay, so these parents have always known that this little boy came from outer space. Not only did they raise him like he was a human, but they never told the authorities about him and must have faked paperwork to make him look like he was a real adopted human child. He may have looked innocent and docile as a baby, but it was only a matter of time that this moment would come. When they saw that he never had a scrape or cut throughout all of his childhood, that should have been a major red flag that more special abilities would come later. The parents have completely mishandled the situation, and now the people in this town and humanity will pay the price. However, there's something the parents can still do to try to stop this little boy before he gets too strong or hurts any more people. Right now, the adopted son is running rings around these 2 adults in the intelligence category. After freaking out and breaking all their family portraits, he does a complete 180 and pretends like nothing is wrong, and is totally cool with finding out he's an alien. This completely disarms the parents, and they allow him to go to school as if nothing is wrong, when in reality, the night before, he has just killed the mother of the little girl whose hand he crushed at school. This poor little girl's taking the brunt of Brandon's torment, all because she was nice to him one time. If it were me, like Brandon, I would do this.
I mean, the whole thing is that he decided to be a damn creep about it. I mean, instead of, you know, I can't condone his behavior. I'm done. No, continue.
Same thing to him, and I pretend like nothing is wrong, and meanwhile, start plotting against the little boy. The mother here witnessed her son levitate above his spaceship. Even though he's calmed down now, Brandon's special abilities are stacking up, and he'll become more and more unbeatable with time. Not only will he learn the full range of his abilities, but how to use them, and this will make him increasingly dangerous during his emotional outbursts. The good thing is that when the little boy levitated, the woman also witnessed—
Okay, before anything, that is gross. Seeing the bullet impact the eye? My god. Oh, move on.
Her son injured himself for the first time since they found him. When he fell back down to Earth, he scraped his hand on his spaceship and bled. So rather than leave the spaceship for the little boy to use, I would take it apart and use it to build weapons to kill Brandon if he takes his violent behavior further. Brandon is uninjured by earthly belongings because—
Why didn't they take it apart in the first place? That would have been better. Take it apart, find some people that could cut it, anything like that.
As he's not of this Earth, but neither is the spaceship, which is why it is useful to them. Now, the metal itself is from another planet, so the parents have to be careful to use it sparingly. They could use some of it to build a cage to keep Brandon in, but there's no guarantee that it will hold him, and the ship is only helpful when used as a sharp object. That means that the best plan of action is to take a piece of the ship and kill him in his sleep as a last resort. This is an extremely violent and brutal option, but the little boy's getting out of control, and they're about to find out just how far he's already gone.
Oh, no, hold it. And we're back. Let's go.
Sam begins their first counseling session with them, and she asks how he's feeling about learning of his adoption. The boy admits that he feels special, and knows that he has something the other kids don't. It's a strange reaction, and she questions if he feels bad about breaking Caitlin's hand, but the boy answers that sometimes bad things happen for a good reason. Shocked, his aunt informs Brandon that he needs to show signs of remorse as a sign of progress, and she can't take it easy just because they're family. She needs to update the sheriff tomorrow and tell him everything she knows, making the kid furious. That night, the dad, the uncle, and another friend discuss what happened with Brandon, with the stressed father insisting that it's nothing to joke about. They talk about the incident at the restaurant and mention that Erica has been gone for over 24 hours. His buddy asks about Brandon, telling his friends that he's been suspended, with the lawyer potentially calling him in a few days. That's when the uncle decides to call it a night, and Kyle here insists that he drive the man home, but Noah tells him he doesn't need to. Meanwhile, the aunt is putting away some clothes, but the lights in the room start to flicker, and she never notices her nephew is levitating right outside her window, watching her every move. She moves downstairs to arrange her clothes, when the automatic sensor system turns on the outdoor lights. The woman tries to see what's out there as the lights switch back off, but she's interrupted by someone knocking hard on the door. It's strange, and she slowly walks over to see who's there. She opens up to see Brandon visiting late at night. The boy confronts her on telling the sheriff what she's learned, and insists that he won't let it happen, making it clear she won't like what happens if she—
But what? Dude, you're kind of overreacting. She said she would just inform the sheriff tomorrow what you told her. And that's only about you feel special, you're adopted, and you're not feeling too much remorse. That's it. You didn't say shit about how you kidnapped, killed, and dissected the girl's mother.
does. Confused, the aunt informs him that it's part of her job, and he's currently invading her privacy by visiting late in the night, ordering the boy to go home. That's when she closes the door and hears the motion sensor detect an intruder. Walking outside, she thinks that the device is broken, but that was her biggest mistake. She heads upstairs and turns off her bedroom light, with no idea that Brandon is planning on killing her. Before he can try, the kid hears his uncle return home from the bar, and the man finds his wife already asleep in bed. He goes to the bathroom and brushes his teeth, not realizing that his nephew is hiding right behind him. He notices
Just
something
leave.
from behind and walks into the closet, finding Brandon wearing a creepy mask. He demands the kid go home now, and he heads outside with them, insisting the boy get inside his truck, but his nephew refuses. Furious, he walks over to Brandon when suddenly he turns around and sends Noah flying into the garage door. He gets up, realizing the kid is gone, and gets into his truck, driving through the woods as something crashes into his window.
Nope.
That's when the vehicle stops working, and Noah freaks out. Now he's all alone, and this demonic child is standing right in his way. Brandon begins to levitate in front of them while Noah tries to get his vehicle up and working, but it's already too late. The truck gets flipped over, with Noah losing control of his vehicle, floating into the air before the kid brutally lets go, sending him crashing down to the ground. Gruesomely injured, the man clutches his torn off jaw while looking over to see Brandon. He walks over and takes the mask off, putting his finger onto Noah's bloody face and writing his symbol onto the road. That makes 2 victims down, with 4 more to go.
Oh, man.
Okay, the parents here are letting their son
That was your uncle! Come on!
do whatever he wants, knowing full well that he's an alien from outer space. A woman has been killed, and even though the uncle teases that Brandon could be the killer, the father still defends the boy. It doesn't make any sense, and the parents need to stop defending their alien son and start finding ways to protect themselves and the town against him. Not only are they putting their own lives in danger, but they're putting their families in danger by letting them interact with them daily without warning them that their moody alien child could kill them at any second. Now, parents usually talk with their extended family about what their kid wants for their birthday, so it's fair to say that this isn't your average conversation to have. But this is a small town, and someone has been killed, so they should have at least considered that their angry son with superhuman abilities was possibly responsible. Instead, they're about to find out that the uncle here has paid for the consequences of their actions. Since the parents aren't budging, there are other signs at Caitlin's mother's murder site that the cops could use as hints to find out that Brandon is actually her murderer. The first thing is that this restaurant here is a fast food joint, and most fast food restaurants have cameras in them. This is for security purposes, but also to monitor the flow of customer traffic.
Wait, that's actually right. Why the hell did they check the camera systems? Huh. I didn't think about that when I first saw the movie. Check the cameras. Unless he was small enough to destroy the cameras.
After Caitlin's mother has been blinded, Brandon can be clearly seen standing inside the fast food joint with a mask on. which means that he would have been captured on camera when he entered the restaurant. Even though he's got a mask on, he's barely 5 foot tall, which limits the number of suspects the police have to search for. This also makes Brandon's link to Caitlin even more significant to her mother's death, just like the uncle suspected. The lights also flicker throughout the murder, which means that Brandon hasn't fully cut power to the fast food restaurant, and unless he's destroyed the cameras beforehand, they're fully functioning. The other thing is that right before Caitlin's mom dies, the last thing she sees is Brandon lunging at her. He pushes her with his hands as he grabs hold of her, so unless aliens don't have fingerprints, the police will be able to identify him individually. The last and final sign is that Brandon has drawn the symbol all over the fast food joint's windows. It looks like the scribblings of a little boy, and the mother has seen him draw this exact shape before. Leaving behind a symbol is another mark of a serial killer, so the police should release the symbol to the public to try to get Brandon ID'd before the killer strikes again. It's not unheard of in serial killer cases like the Zodiac killer for the police to release certain details about the case if they think that the public could help them. Once the mother sees the symbol, there's no denying anymore that her son is the killer. Meanwhile,
Oh, nope. Getting lots of out of this video.
Brandon's mom makes a call to her sister, wondering where the hell her son has disappeared to. That's when the boy walks inside the house, and Tori here runs over to hug him, questioning where he's been and why he's not wearing a shirt. The boy tells them he was playing soccer until it was late, and his classmates ended up tearing his shirt. He pretends the other kids made fun of him for having a ripped shirt, so he walked home and apologizes for not calling them. Tori offers to take his shirt to wash, but the kid refuses to hand it over. Confused, the parents know that Brandon is lying, but have no idea what to do with him. Kyle admits they should have dealt with their son a long time ago and walks off. That night, he begins having nightmares of...
Okay, now here's a serious question. Would he have starved as an infant? And, like, if they had just decided, no, we are not raising this alien beast, and just left it there, would he have just starved? Since, you know, nothing on Earth could kill him? Huh. Little dark, I know, but that may be the only way to have actually killed him.
Him and his wife trying for a baby. He gets up to find a forest-like area leading him outside and calls out for Tori. The man walks over to see his wife when suddenly she turns around and says that they have a baby boy. Terrified, he looks at Tori's excited face and opens up the blanket to find a demonic newborn that suddenly shoots lasers at him. The next day, they head to the morgue where they meet the aunt to discuss what happened with her husband. She explains that the doctors won't let her see him, and they believe that he swerved after spotting a deer, which led to his brutal accident. She questions Kyle on if the man was drunk, but he informs her that her husband only had a few drinks. That's when she mentions that Brandon was at their house late at night and tells them that she's glad the boy's okay. It makes them confused why he would lie about that, but the dad realizes the kid might have been involved with the car accident. Later, they confront their child on what happened with his uncle the previous night, mentioning that he's now dead. Brandon has no comment on the situation, and the parents begin feeling more suspicious that their own child is the culprit. Tori insists that they'll always take his side, but encourages him to reveal anything that he might know about his uncle's death. The boy pretends not to know a thing, but Kyle calls his bluff and demands he reveal all of his lies. Brandon tells them he's going upstairs, but his father won't let him leave until he tells them what really happened to Noah. The boy screams at him and violently shoves his father into the wall. Shocked, Tori forces him to head upstairs and looks over to her husband, but the man knows that Brandon is hiding something in the shirt. Kyle rushes upstairs to check his kid's room and searches for the hidden shirt. Looking behind this cupboard, he finds it with bloodstains scattered on the top, but suddenly Brandon walks in and his father pretends to apologize for what happened downstairs. He rushes into the other room with Tori and shows her the bloodstain, explaining Brandon wanted to hide it because it was soaked in the uncle's blood. Tori questions how he would have crashed the car and blames him for drinking with Noah before the crash, insisting the entire situation is her husband's fault. Kyle insists they do something about their child before more people are killed, but Tori refuses to take his side. Furious, he tells her that this boy isn't their child, he's a monster, and the woman storms out of the room. Later that day, the man looks through old photos and he tears up, frustrated that things have broken down. Heading into bed with his wife, Kyle mentions that he's thinking of taking their son on a two-man trip into the woods so they can repair their relationship. The next morning, they get all the equipment ready for their trip, and Tori kisses her son goodbye, seeing them off as the boys head for a trip into the woods.
Oh my god, this is how you sign your own damn death warrant. You need to get a... It's a movie, I just need to cool down. Let's just finish this off before I go crazy.
With no idea it'll be the last time she sees her husband. Okay, Kyle here has finally come to his senses. He knows that Brandon must be the killer, and that he and his wife are in danger of being killed by their son. The little boy is essentially running the house, and even if he wasn't the killer, his super strength gives him total control over his parents, and that's no way for grown people to live. Kyle and Tori still haven't called the authorities because they have waited so long they're afraid it's too late. Instead, Kyle has decided to take matters into his own hands with no further information or research, and this is a super dangerous idea. The first problem with this plan is that Kyle will have to rely on not pissing off Brandon again. The second problem is that he has never seen his son be injured before, so for all he knows, Brandon is invincible and has no reason to believe that a bullet will kill him. The wife here knows that Brandon can be injured by the spaceship, but she hasn't told Kyle this yet. So this puts him in a terrible situation, which means Kyle needs to hide his plans from his wife because she'll stop him from killing their son. But he also needs to find a way to kill Brandon, which will hopefully lead him to his own spaceship in the barn. He already has what he needs. He just needs to know that he needs it. Kyle is also already going on a camping trip with his son, so he can kill him in his sleep with a sharp object from the spaceship. The other more dangerous option that Kyle could try is putting the boy to sleep using chloroform. Although he knows that external objects on this planet can't pierce his son's skin, he doesn't know what the effects will be if the boy consumes toxic fumes or gases. Since this affects him internally instead of externally, it could reap different results. If this works, that means that the boy could also be poisoned. The only problem with this plan is that Kyle doesn't know the effects ahead of time. If he tries to put his son to sleep, it might not work at all, or it would have a delayed effect, giving the boy the opportunity to retaliate. Which is why Kyle really needs to get in touch with someone in this universe that has dealt with this sort of alien. Later, the sheriff shows up at their house, and Tori walks out to be asked if Brandon is around. He wants to ask the boy about a demonic sign that was left near the accident site. Tori pretends not to know, and the sheriff confronts her, saying that the BB could stand for Brandon Bryan. She continues to not see the connection and insists the sheriff leave her property. He agrees to go, but promises that he'll be back soon. She rushes upstairs into Brandon's room and finds this notebook hidden under his bed, opening it to see terrifying satanic drawings on every single page. Meanwhile, Kyle looks at his son inspecting the tracks, bringing up his sniper rifle and aiming it directly at his own child. He fires a shot into Brandon's head when suddenly it doesn't have any effect on the child. Shocked, the kid looks at his father as he loads another bullet. That's when Kyle looks back and realizes that the kid is gone. Terrified, he runs through the forest before being struck and pushed over. He watches as Brandon walks him down and pleads for him to let him go. Suddenly, the boy shoots lasers from his eyes and brutally kills his own father. That makes 3 victims down with 3 more to go. Tori calls her husband's phone and confesses that she was wrong about their son, but Brandon responds to the phone to inform her that Kyle is gone. Terrified, Tori questions where the kid went and is told that he's at home. She calls out for her son when suddenly the roof starts to shake and she rushes to the bottom floor as the house falls apart. Okay.
Dude, this is horrible.
No, shut up. Don't say. Well, back.
Tori is the last woman standing, and she needs to trick Brandon into thinking that she's on his side. Her husband has just tried to kill the boy using a gun, and it didn't go as planned. Brandon is highly emotional right now, and anything can happen if he's not calmed down. All of Brandon's emotional outbursts have one thing in common. He's always been upset with the other person when lashing out at them, whether it's justified or not. Brandon crushed Caitlin's hand after she let him fall during the trust game at school, and this most recent episode is because his life was threatened. Every time Brandon is either teased, challenged, or threatened, he fights back. So Tori needs to pretend as if she wants to help protect her son and help him rise to greatness and carry out whatever plans he has. Brandon is highly intelligent, so she'll have to give an award-worthy performance. This is really her only option at this point, and Tori has always stood by Brandon, so he has no reason to believe she's not being truthful. Brandon is completely delusional and believes that he's superior to everyone, so trying to appeal to his ego is the right move at this point. Mothering him and telling him he's done something wrong hasn't worked before, and it has no reason to work now. It also puts Tori's life at risk, since Brandon is already extremely pissed off, and if she does anything to upset him, she could be the next victim in Brandon's growing list. Brandon here may be a violent monster, but he's also a little boy, so Tori telling him she loves him shouldn't hurt either. He may already think he's special, but his father just tried to kill him, so loving and accepting him as a violent monster could throw him off her scent until Tori can regroup and kill Brandon when he least expects it. The good thing about this plan is, although Kyle is dead, he was left in the woods alone by Brandon and probably won't be found for several days until other campers come by. This gives Tori the opportunity to find the right moment to kill Brandon over several days instead of having to face off right now. Even though Brandon is an alien, he has to sleep, and this will be the best chance Tori has at killing him. Tori also knows the spaceship can
it would even work better if you're able to find a type of drug that could actually knock him out. Well, I'm not sure what, but you know, something like that.
Harm Brandon, so she can sneak away while he's at school and create a weapon from its spare parts to do what she has to and end Brandon's life so he can't hurt anyone in Brightburn anymore. Tori hides under the kitchen counter and calls 911 while things quiet down. Suddenly, a gust of wind smashes through the window. The police arrive at her house and call out for her, hearing a loud noise from outside. She runs out of the building and watches as the sheriff is brutally killed in front of her. That makes 4 victims down with 2 more to go. The female officer tells her to go upstairs as she calls for backup, looking around terrified. She paces through this hallway, finding Brandon and calling for more information on the suspect. Tori listens as the other officer is gruesomely thrown around the house and killed, making that 5 victims down with 1 more to go. That's when she notices the boy entering the room, covering her mouth to stay quiet. She crawls out of the bed just as her son flies back in, with no idea she's hanging off the building. The woman loses her grip and lands on the ground, remembering the ship managed to hurt her son. Tori sprints over to the barn while her house is destroyed and runs straight to the trap door, opening it to find a horrifying sight. Shocked, she rips off a chunk of the spaceship and climbs out. The woman calls around the barn for Brandon and turns around to see her son. She walks closer to him and takes the mask off, insisting that he's a good kid. Suddenly, his mother tries to stab him in the back, but he stops her at the last second. Furious,
More like if she didn't have that such long ass wind up, it would have been over. But no, she just had to drag it out as slow as possible. For crying out loud.
he flies thousands of miles into the air before dropping the woman to her death, making that 6 victims down with a whole world to conquer. Later, the media reports on a plane that crashed into the kid's house, not knowing what the cause was. And Brandon here enjoys his lunch, knowing that he's just gotten away with a string of deadly murders.
But what do you think? How would you beat Brightburn? Let me know with a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and check out the How to Beat playlist for more videos like this. Until next time, have a damn good day.
No flip?
Nope, shut up. Well, folks, that's where we're going to end today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link will be in the description, and I'll see all of you folks next time when we flick on. Peace out.